is where the real chess game comes in. That's where the game is really gets played on this mini NASDAQ. So we're watching now for, we're short at 7,010, as you know, and we're watching for the market to start to pull
Order
back.
pending.
Let me mark that on our regular chart here, 7,010, and I'm looking for a move down to just above the opening range. Actually, 87 is our initial target goal, but you can see that in the this is like what I'm perceiving as being a really complex fourth wave pullback. I'm watching somewhere down between 90, 87 and 90 for this pullback here, which would be about a 20-point move. So we're watching that. And let me just mark this real quick. Let me mark. This was like the beginning of the big, what I consider to be an artificial jam on the upside here. Now maybe they're getting ready to collapse for us here. So this, let me mark this one as the bigger picture. I'll just increase the size of this yellow line to 5 points. So that's a bigger picture. And this one I'm going to go ahead and just change it to a dotted line to let us know. And I'll get the size kicked up a little. So and we have an older line here, a thin dotted one from some time ago. And I don't know when. It could have been days, could have been weeks ago. That was a key level of some sort. So we'll leave that in to watch that as well. And let's see if we can get, we're short at 7,000, and this could be the start of a larger scale collapse that I'm looking for, because this was so fake and artificial here. This last fifth wave upside goose job that they did. We got to try to hold them. And again, if you got a chance, buy those puts, the SPY 270 June 11th. We got till June 11th, so all we need ideally is just a few days for this thing to unwind. It could be a large collapse. Looking for 100% on these options, maybe more. And we're holding that and some ones that are due to expire on the 23rd. But if fate is on our side, the next 2 to 3 days could be, we could see that stronger collapse come in, and we'll see these go up. We're long the May 23rds at around an average price around 70 cents. So we're hoping to get that thing up to a buck or more, but they're running out of time, so time's eroding them as well. So it's kind of, I thought we'd get this collapse coming in sooner, but they for some reason felt compelled to just goose the thing up. Hence my call for this being what I call a crony loading operation. And what I mean by that is that um, the insiders, the riggers, call their cronies and say, look, we're going to artificially goose the market up and hang it up. We're not going to allow any pullback. We're just goose it up and hang that price way up there for you so you can get, we're going to drive the options down really cheap like the puts we're buying here on the SPY 270 June 11th, currently trading 168. And we're going to drive make the option cheap so you can load millions of those, and we're going to just, then we're going to pull the rug out, and all of a sudden, you know, all the cronies will get very wealthy for those who can afford to buy, 10 million of these options or whatever the hell amount they can buy, million of them, whatever. Anyway, so in our day traders action room, I'm just read this, opening statement about, for those of you new to the room, I consider us to be blue collar working traders, and what that means, we come to work each day and make sure and always get in the room a little bit early, at least 5 minutes early, be sitting waiting until I come out, because like today we had a trade right off the opening and lots to talk about right away because of what they were doing to the markets early here. And we're just going to hit a target gain on the mini NASDAQ trades that I'll call out live. Now, while we're doing that, I'll also be tracking the crude oil futures and training you, that's over here in this chart, the exact method for trading boomerang on crude oil. It's astoundingly accurate, 90% winners. We haven't had a losing day on crude oil in over a year, and I don't even remember one prior to that. It's very mechanical almost in nature. And here's a trade example. Here's the market really choppy, right? It has been ever since early opening, but here, see all the dynamic trend bands matching a buy channel. With the dynamic trend band, you come in and buy them right here. 83, dropped down to 79, but then jammed straight up, and we're looking for 10 ticks. Prior to that, there weren't any trades. It was very odd, choppy kind of session day. Then they jammed them up, continued choppy here. But when you see the price pressure bands open with a new buy channel, this is kind of a second level trade with those conditions. Those conditions weren't met in any of these here. But up here they were with the price pressure bands opening, a pullback to signal line, and then they jammed it up. So you can see there's just two winning trades right there. But again, as mentioned, prior to the opening, which we consider to be 5:45 or later, it was just the conditions weren't there for a trade. It was just all whipsaw and oddball market stuff going on here until we got to this one. More whipsaw, and then this trade here. Now we're just watching for see what's going to happen here. All right, so we're rolling them back a little bit now. Here's where the rubber meets the road, right in here. Remember I gave you that number 04? If we can start taking them down under 04 and then lose 96 at some point, this should tend to be a larger scale move for us, targeting as much as a move potentially. Holding under 04, breaking the 7,000 handle here, as much as a potential move down in this zone of these three, thicker line, thinner line, and then this big one here. Ultimately, this is where I'm looking for them to go down to 87, but we'll really watch this 88, 89, and then 91, this somewhere in this zone. Let's see if we can break them down. Okay, so that's the mission right now. So going on further, I'm also going to recommend select stocks and ETFs for longer term investment, which is a bonus part of being a member of our room. And as I mentioned, we have this put option on now in the June 11th. So we got a little more time on that to ideally make profit for us. And those are currently trading 170 now. You had a chance to buy them in my last mention here at the $1.66 area. So let's see if this market keeps dropping back lower. And these puts, we're going to look to hold them several days in a perfect world and see the market really turn around to the downside here. And so they're not being day traded, but just kind of a high risk position trade is what they are. And if I'm right about the crony loading operation, then we will be literally almost virtually holding what I would guess, there's no way of knowing for sure, these cheap out of the money puts is what a lot of times I think the cronies like to load, because it's something nobody expects to become valuable, especially over the next 2 to 3 weeks. So let's see what happens here. We're going to be looking to hit an 8 to 12 point goal on the mini NASDAQ futures trades that I call out live. I use a proprietary method that I developed. It's a private method that I do not teach here in the room, but we will show you in great detail how to trade the crude oil on Boomerang. Look at that 7,004. Remember that number I gave you? They're really hanging that up all the way down to the 7,000 handle here on a move down to 01 quarter. So they're playing some games here, trying to come in with some support games again, it looks like. But these could be the Johnny-come-latelys here, trying to buy the dip. Ooh, buy the dip. Yeah, the market keeps going up and up and up, and it's going up forever, they start thinking. So we got to buy the dip. That's the thing to do. And that's where they kill them, under 7,000 handle. That's ideally where they'll collapse them, and it'll be a stronger downside move. So we're going to use an automatic 12-point stop in the mini NASDAQ trades I call out. I'm going to work a 8 to 10 point kind of mental stop. And we're going to use 13 tick automated stop on the crude oil. And I call those airbag stops just to prevent us from taking too large a loss if that trade isn't going to pan out for us. Usually they do, but you know, this is futures trading and not every trade's going to be a winner. You have to understand why you wouldn't think that. Has every stock you bought been an immediate winner or been a winner when you sold it? No. This is trading, so just keep that in mind. Losing's part of what we do. It's not losing, it's winning if it's part of the process. It's like if you're playing a professional football player, they're going to get a broken elbow or arm once in a while. That's not a reason to quit your career. It's just part of the career. It's part of what you do. It's sort of something you have to get in touch with. Even just when you take up football in high school, I mean, you can get hurt, you know. Anyway, let's see if we can get this thing to back off again. They may try to artificially goose them up again, and unfortunately, they might goose them all the way back to 7,010, where we're short from. But I'm hoping these are the wrong-sided late dip buyers who are going to end up getting their head handed to them under 7,000 as the market starts to collapse. Not sure yet, but I'm watching to see if that's the kind of action we're going to get here. It is a little bit oversold on that move down to 0150, but I'm looking for a larger scale drop. So that's hence the options. But just remember our motto: we use the markets to carve out a paycheck. We don't let the markets use us. If we get in a trade and it keeps going and going that way, we don't care. We had a particular goal, 5 points, 8 points, whatever it was, and when we got that, we got out. And we weren't trying to peg a larger scale move. A lot of times that's what you see beginners do, is they turn a short-term trade that went wrong and then they think, no, I'm thinking big picture now, and then they get to, it's very, and they hang on to something that was wrong rather than get out, and now it's really wrong, and then, you know, there goes Johnny's college fund. Unfortunately, a lot of times you get stuff like that happening. Anyway, I appreciate having you as a member of the room. And remember, just start out slow if you're new to the room. Just watch the action. These mini NASDAQ markets are very tricky. You'll see our boomerang setups on crude oil are very mechanical, very simple, and 90% winners. Mini NAS is a tougher game. We're playing chess. We're playing a chess game with all the rest of the traders of the stock indexes, and especially the riggers known as the Federal Reserve, which is not an American company. Were originally designed to rig everything in their favor, and that's what they do. It's not at all an American company. The Federal Reserve was reformed to be an independent group outside the laws of the U.S. that would do whatever the heck they want with the markets. So keep that in mind. We're playing a chess game with them. We're hoping to be on the right side of that chess game on a drop under 7,000, as these Johnny-come-lately dip buyers right in here that have been coming in still are trying get their head handed to them with a drop under hopefully 7,000, and we start seeing a trend down kind of move going here as they ideally pull the rug out from under this artificially jacked up market and start dropping them down to our, again, our target goal is way in the heck down here out of Dodge at 87. Let's see if we can get rid of that 7,000 handle, get everybody used to not being in the 7,000 handle. Outside of it, under that, in other words, and see if we can get everybody used to that. Get those 69 99s, get those 99s working, get everybody real used to being in the 99s, especially trading under 96, real key number. And if we can do that, it's worth holding for the long term. Our put options that we purchased now around 66. I better make a note of this here. And today's May 14th.
Order pending.
Okay, so we got those listed there. And they have a longer stretch on them, so I'm just looking for that as a backup for because the previous position still could work out for us, but they're we got about a week and we got to start considering exiting those because of the time value. And I don't do options that much here, but I'm just thinking there's a real good opportunity, so that's hence the effort there. And honestly, the harder the trade is, usually ends up being the better. And this one's definitely a little bit tricky. So let's see if we can keep them in the 69, 90s, keep them in the 90s here, under the 7,000s ideally, and start backing this thing off in what I think could end up being a stronger crash on the downside. As soon as they get used to being in the 90s and then they start slow grinding them lower under that, hopefully, we will see this market get the thing going here. So this is kind of a position trade we're in here right now. Usually we'll scalp, like we're up 10 points. Now our long-term traders know you're supposed to take at least, if you got multiples on, take something off with the 10-point gain. That's always a good spot to at least take something off on your multiple contract trades. And I know you know that, our longer term traders. So let's see if we can. So I'll make a note of that here. Plus 10 on P for partial. And again, we're looking ultimately for a move down to 87. And I hope they don't start re-goosing them back up here. They might, but we took 10 partial on that trade down to 97. And we're looking for, again, a larger picture move. Currently our options are trading around 173, being long from around the $1.65 level on several mentions that I gave. At the level actually a little bit lower, but we're using 165, and we're just seeing if this thing can start to back off here. And in a short term, well, ultimately a multi-day drop in the price on these U.S. stock indexes, particularly SPY, known as the ES. So for our option, this ES is going to correlate more to the SPY, of course, than the NAS. See, look at that NAS. They got that thing goosed to the moon there. Percentage-wise, you can see the transportation index just up barely. NAS goosed, and Dow not far off. But you can see comparatively 0.58 on the NAS, S&P mini 0.23%, less than half. So there's some game being played with this NAS, and that's our day trading contract of choice. But a lot of times if they're trying to run, like I believe, a crony loading operation here, that's why we have these cheap out of the money puts on. They'll often use the NASDAQ to try to drag other players into the market from the Dow, ES, Russell, because the NAS got all that. The NAS has the pizzazz. That's all these techie stocks. So they tend to work that a little, like they're doing now, right? I mean, right before your eyes as I'm saying that. They're kind of keep using that to kind of spike up the market and try to drive people back in, you know. But hopefully we took 10 points on the minor pullback there, and I'm looking for a larger scale pullback. This would be And we can track this here. This move we just had there to
Order
03, right
pending.
in here, 03, that's a sell back into the bias trade if we were day trading this. So watching now for 03 to collapse back under 7,000 and possibly drop it down to that low again at 96. And if 03 doesn't work out, then we'll have more understanding that they're still trying to rig the upside. If they come in here, in other words, in this area, this 03 area, and they try to re-goose that back up here, then we'll know that they're still back to playing games. But watch for an 03 re-entry on the short side right in here. Right there is 03 again. Watch for 03 to drop back down towards this low for what would be a short-term scalp. So if you're not in this trade at all, you can short them right up here at this 03 level, and I'll monitor that as a separate trade here, and we're really hoping they don't try to jam it over 05 by too much, because that would be another sign that the riggers are trying to prop it up and not letting the market naturally flow to the downside. They're trying to once again block the selling flow on the downside. However, if 03 drops them back down towards 98 or lower, then hallelujah, we got ourselves a 5 point scalp there. But hard to say. They are really trying to sucker people into buying this market here. And when they get on that trip, which is what they're on right now, a lot of times they just don't let up until they've dragged every single person into it, and then they collapse them. So watching for, in general, 05 to 06 to hold back the price on this 03 re-entry into what, according to my charts, should be a sell down back into the lower side of the bias down towards 98, 69, 98. Let's see what happens, or if they're going to come in here and play spiky games and try to re-goose the thing back up, which they might. That'll give us more information as to how long this could trade to really, or how long this could take to really get a normal, natural pullback from all this 1 week of up market stuff. It's like, come on. Very reminiscent. There's a boomerang trade here. You see the price pressure bands open 12 or 11 coming down to 01, but it's already ran. So right, I'm kind of coming in watching a little late here, but see it's already ran. So there's a 10 ticks there on that trade. While I'm carefully watching the NAS here, we're holding short from 7,010, watching for 303 to 05 to fail to pop and see them start dropping back under 7,000 to confirm they're going to finally let this thing go a little. But they may not. They may try another artificial upside goose. It's just, what can you do? If that's the way they're going to play the game, we just have to try to adapt as best we can. So from this morning, let's go over this. Nothing here, all spiky whipsaw. Then we finally get the price pressure bands opening up here. Trade number 1 for 10 ticks. This is, you can see the price pressure bands aren't open up here. There's no second level trade to this. Just went into massive whipsaw to the point where the cross under occurred, and then immediately they're back up with the dynamic trend bands matching color and the price pressure bands opening, which is automatically a new buy right in here on this dot for another 10 ticks. So far we've had, that's the second winning trade of the day. This is again, and it's a cross under. So with the cross under, even though they're matching here, you got to be really careful on a second level trade, because it's not the second level trade pattern we normally like to see. You like to see a continuation of a trend. This is all spiky upside stuff. So this is not really a continuation of a trend. And when it came in, you can see the price pressure bands, although we don't normally watch those. This is not really a continuation of a trend. See, because it's been up all on Globex, choppy, up, choppy, up. Very high risk attempt at a second level trade here. And indeed that failed. Shouldn't have been taken anyway, but this is now. So this is the third winning trade on crude oil. Glad I got a chance to do a little class there on that. We do that every day, 3-4 times a day, maybe up to 5-6 times. Every time there's a trade, I show you how the setup worked, and it's a 4-step process. Like in this one, let me go through that 4-step process while I watch the mini NAS, which is starting to let go a little bit here, but they took them down to 7,000 handle, and they're back to trying to spike them or prop it up again. So we got to get rid of this 7,000 handle and get that price rolling back into a trend down move, and they're trying to throw water on it right now. But we're holding short patiently and indeed nervously. But this trade, if you traded that 03 short, which is a trade back in the bias, stay ready to jump out with that because they're trying to tweak it. But if we're back under 7,000, that would be a scalp down around 96 to 98. But it looks like they're trying once again to screw it up, screw around with the bias, and mess up that trade. So stay ready to jump out of it. We'll hold the longer term swing trade short from 7,010, but it looks like they're coming in here trying to mess around with that trade back into the bias. They're trying to artificially block that from happening. But give it a second here. Definitely looks like that's what they're trying to do. But if we drop back under 7,000, then we'll be saved by that drop if that happens. So we look for a sell channel, wait for the candle to close, and lock the arrow down on the candle. I'm doing the trading right now. That's step one. Step two, ask yourself, are the price pressure bands open? That's this dashed line crossing under this solid line. And the answer is on this candle, yes. Then we ask, has this cobra, that's this dotted line, crossed under this orange filter line? And again, the answer is yes, as of this candle. And the fourth one is, are the dynamic trend bands? That's these two multicolored or blue and magenta colored bands here. Blue the bullish color, magenta the bearish color. Are they within 3 ticks each other, matching color, or having crossed under in the case of a sell, over in the case of buy? And the answer on all those right in this candle is yes, yes, yes. So here's your short at 12, and 12 drops down for 10 ticks. See what they're doing on the NAS here? Just playing games, hanging it up, trying to throw water on the trend down move here, which is what the chart pattern just formed. They're trying to throw water on it by blocking it and stopping it. There should be a tremendous amount of selling force in the market. So the riggers are working overtime to block it. Let's see if we can take them back down and get rid of this 7,000 handle and drop that price down to 69.98 or lower as a sign that this thing is going to trend down, and it could be a doozy. But it's an organized collapse. I believe it's going to be an organized collapse. So let's see if we can get them going here. In the room here, we're pretty edgy traders. I mean, I'm sitting here laying out this whole scenario for what I believe is a rigor. It's a conspiracy.
Order pending.
It is absolutely a conspiracy. Nothing wrong with that. The whole world is being run by conspiracies. So you got to know how to read a conspiracy, know the difference. It's not a conspiracy theory. That's a word that the conspirators created to try to to put down people who are trying to get on top of their conspiracies. They made it like a joke. Oh, conspiracy theorist. Uh huh. Uh huh. Yeah. Tongue in cheek. Oh yeah, you're one of those. See what I mean? They actually created that to figure out a way to put people down. Now keep in mind they did that with UFOs and extraterrestrials for the last 60 years. Well, now finally, and not officially, but through their admissions in public on the news, not only have they allowed shows like Ancient Aliens to be on and all that without any opposition, but they're now admitting, yeah, we've always been following them and tracking. We knew about them way back when. No apologies, of course, but that's an example. And you probably noticed when I brought that up, immediately your mind went, "Oh, aliens! Why is he bring?" See, that's because he's been conditioned by the military and the government, who's been forcing that viewpoint into people's brains for 60 years, and now they're admitting, yes, this was on the news recently,
Order
when that
pending.
they saw that craft skipping over the water. They said, yeah, we've been watching them for a long time, decades. We've always known about them. So that's like an admittance in an off sort of way, right? But do you notice when I brought that up? Not all of you, some of you shaking your head, yeah. I've been researching this stuff for 50 years, but since I was a kid. But the point is, you notice how that came into your head? Why is he bringing up kook stuff like that? That's all been programmed into your thinking. Pretty amazing, huh? So, but why then just a few weeks ago did the military admit, yes, their actual state, yes, we've been watching them for many decades, them. So, do you see what I mean? What can be done, you know? So,
Order pending.
by doing that and designating as conspiracy theorist or alien, people talk about aliens or kooks, then what happens is, in creating that mindset, anytime anybody does, then there's sort of a consensus beratement of that person, and it helps suppress something that always was known and true by the military and the U.S. government. Anyway, it's just an example of typical mind control stuff. And they're doing it again. They've thrown water on what was clearly a sell down pattern. So get out of those O3s right now. I still think it'll work out, but we don't want to turn a short term scalp and those O3s into a problem. We're still holding the 10s short, but again, it's just this is a conspiracy. They're trying to artificially hang up the market, get all their cronies in it. The last few are getting loaded in here before, once the collapse starts, you won't be able to get in. So, they kind of force out with a small loss in the O3 short. That trade, the reason we get out is because that should have worked out virtually immediately. That should have just dropped like a stone, those O3s. They still probably maybe will, but it shouldn't have done what it's doing here. This is all fake. This is all artificial, blocking of the trend down chart pattern that showed up. Nothing we can do. So just watching now to see if we can get the for our tens, if we can get that price move back lower. We took 10 points on the partial move down to give us a gain on 10 points from the 7,010 short entry, and we're hoping now once again that they're going to stop playing games and let the market trend down and indeed literally crash. Not bearish, but just a crash pullback from this artificial ramped up condition, and let them go here. But I don't know. They are really, really jamming this thing. And it's thoroughly disgusting, but that's just the way it is. We're right back to, I want to bring up a daily chart and show you This is so reminiscent of the massive rigor operation in the first quarter of 2018. But I gotta watch this thing because they're back trying to rejam it again on the upside. I'm hoping again that this is going to fail in here, get them back under 7,000. They lose that handle, and we get a larger scale move down back to 69.90 or lower to cover up this trade. But they appear dogged and determined to re-prop up the market here. And look how it's done. Where's the proof of what you're saying, Mohan? These spike candles. Okay, yep, see? Now we're back to 10 again. We're just trading them, but unfortunately they're not letting the trend down move get going. We're still short, but it's really a drag because here they come again. Same old crap, artificially goosing the price up. The last high was 13 quarter, and they're back with these big artificial spikes goosing the price back up here. So let's see if they can fade this move here. If you're not short, you can short them above 7,008 right up there. There's 8. So I'll write that one down again too. But that trade back of 03 failed. And then I'm giving you a new instruction if you want to get short to match our existing short at 10, 8 or higher. So 08 is a re-short back into the main, what I think will eventually turn into a trend down move. But we just have to see if the riggers can get over this artificial manipulation of the market. They just seem so dogged, determined to do that. So back under 6, back under 03, 7,003, losing the 7,000 handle, and when and if they finally let this stupid thing go here, I only call it stupid because it's our baby that we trade every day and make a nice living off of, but it's what's stupid is this fake rigging of the thing. That's what bothers me, obviously. Should bother all of you. But there's nothing we can do about it, so don't get too bothered. Don't want it to disturb our trading mindset. We have a trader's mindset that's so vital. It's actually the most important tool we have in trading is the trader's mindset. Here is your brain on trading. What does it look like? Yeah. Got to go through a lot of stuff, so we need a really amazing, strong trader's mindset. Now, I have some great articles that I've posted on my blogs at daytradersaction.com and boomerangtrader.com, so you can check those out. More coming out in the future. But think about it. We're using a trading platform like this. We're using charts. We're looking at other charts compared to like crude oil, right? We're looking at higher time frames. We're looking at indicators on the charts, such as these bias indicators, looking for these to turn
Order
red as they
pending.
drop them, hopefully under 7,003 and then under 7,000 back in the 90s. But what is, okay, so then you have
Order
your buy
pending.
and sell buttons, and you have to know exactly how to work those. You have to be real good at working those, right? Well, think about it. What is the tool or instrument that is working all that stuff, that is reading and perceiving the markets and seeing the markets now go my way? And like a first, here's our first, like, this was sort of a nice controlled counter move. This one I was telling you, 03 should have dropped back lower, but this is our first shot across the bow of a crash. You see that? because these are the Johnny come latelys trying to buy the dip, and although they were sort of correct as they goosed them back up here, this was the final crony loading call. And now see the first sign of the crash coming in here. So that was so far so good. That was the first sign of the larger scale crash to come if I'm going to be right on this deal. So again, pretty interesting, and I'm glad I'm actually recording this, so I'm kind of glad, and hopefully now they'll crash, and then I'll look really smart, right? So far, this makes me look kind of smart, but only if they follow through, because we're all really, as traders, playing junior Nostradamuses, is really, aren't we? You sell short up here, you're like a junior Nostradamus forecasting. In my case, I'm looking for a move down to 87. I'm actually seeing into the future, or attempting through my chart reading and indicators and all that stuff, trying to see into the future, right? Notice how they rescued him right at 70 handle, one tick under that. So we're looking for that to fail now, get him rock solid back into the 90s, the 69 90s, and then start smoking this thing lower here, get him hammered lower. But they're playing games right now around the 70 handle. But do you see how we become like junior Nostradamuses? If I'm short up at here at 10, and I'm actually saying, here's where I want to cover them down at 87. Do you see what I mean? That's about 10 handles lower from where we are now. Does it make sense? A trade, when you put on a trade, you're actually like a junior Nostradamus, that famous guy who foretold the future. And I've read a lot of his forecasts. I'm not saying I believe in him, because I've read a lot of them and I don't understand them. They don't make a lot of sense to me, but people interpret them as, see, he foretold World War II here, whatever it is. Well, whatever, but I'm just making an analogy that that's what we are as traders. So going back to that original point, is your brain is your best trading tool. What, how could it not be your best trading tool? Okay, I got some red ink coming in here on the 13-minute charts. That's holding up. So ideally that's going to press them down to our projected levels under 92, under 89. Now under 89 I'm going to start getting a little bit worked up here, because this is where I'm expecting them to go to 87. Now, for those of you new to the room, we mark the opening range area, a very vital area. That's in here. If they break them down, I'm forecasting getting out at 87 on this trade. But if my crash alert's going to be correct, they'll drop them down into the opening range and really get hyper down in here. So why not hold? Well, you can hold if you want, but I'm trying to forecast a move just above that, that I'm thinking the riggers will attempt to hold up the opening range today, while maybe some remaining cronies work on their positions, correct their positions out a little bit, or fix them, or do whatever. This is just a kind of a very unusual kind of conspiratory understanding of why they would stall them in the opening range, to let them adjust and fix their positions a little bit for a larger scale crash. But that's actually what I'm forecasting. So I'm making a larger scale forecast. So hence we have the puts on. We're trading these puts, short-term naked puts on out of the money positions, puts, out of the money puts. Highest risk form of trading for options. Naked out of the money puts. Cheap out of the money puts. So let's hope we're right. So far, so good. Now remember that 08, you should have taken that out. I said when we re-entered the 08 short, I said watching for move down under the 07 handle. So I'm going to mark that at 7,000 for plus 8 points on the re-entry. And when the market does this, sometimes you have to do that, because it's not just trading like a normal market where you're in, you're out. There's all kinds of games being played here. So we took 10 on the partial originally. If you remember that first drop down for 10 points on the 7,010 short. I said a re-entry into the sell bias at 03, which failed, which I said if this fails, we're going to have to get them out. So on that, I called the exit at 06 for minus 3 points. Loss and gains, I don't care. We talk about them all. There's no reason to hide them like the others do. Hide the losses, exemplify the gains. Complete farce. No need to do that. Everybody knows you lose in trading and you win. So the key is to have more wins and losses. So then 08 points on that reshort, which was definitely a trade for those who weren't in. I'm not going to just sit in this one trade if I can give you re-entry. So those of you who took that 08 uh, and held them down to the 7,000 handle, which I said that was the first resistance area or support area. There's your 8 points on that. So far, just on this one entire move, we've taken plus 10 partial on the 710 short up here. On this move down in here, took plus 10. They goosed them to 03, which was the re-entry into the short pattern here. Didn't go anywhere. They jammed them all the way up, so I called the exit at 06 because I had mentioned that when we got in the trade. And then I called for a reshort up here at 8 for those who weren't in any of the trades but somehow believed in the short idea. And that one was very successful for 8 points. I don't know how much you took, but we're just basing it on where the market went. And I'm now watching for the markets to really get back into the mood of a trend down move here. So I can give you another short here, and that would be at the 7,000 handle, let's say 99 or higher. You can re-enter what would be a trade back into the trend move again, like that 03 one was originally. This one I'm calling for like 98.50 or higher for a trade back into what now is a little bit slightly more established downside trend if the riggers don't play games and try to artificially jam it. So let's see if we get 850 or higher to trade back into the downside trend. We may not get it. They might collapse them before we do. Hopefully they'll pop that 850 there. I mean, ideally we don't want them to go back to 7,000 handle, but I'm just trying to give you another short into the bias entry. But if they collapse under 5 and start rolling them back, the low so far is right here at 375. So I don't know if they're even going to give us another re-entry. Let's see, we get 850 or higher. The actual re-entry number is 99.75 to 7,000 handle. But I'm saying 98.50 because this one should roll back into the sell bias. So try to get them in around 815.99 as a recommendation that I can count on to be a very good recommendation. So you're just kind of playing with it here, just kind of hanging them up a little. Let's see if we get 850 or better as a re-entry on the short pattern here. They still might spike 859 or collapse. Probably collapse, but I'm hoping they give us that 850 action. Odds are that they will collapse though. They'll drop under 5, lose 4, and then hopefully blast them lower from there. See, what's happening now is it strikes me that the dip buyers are not so smart ass. They're not acting so confident anymore, these dip buyers. And that's when, okay, 8 quarter, do we get 8 half? Trying to get 8 half on the re-entry. They went 8 half. Look at that. They went eight. Well, no, that's this candle here. They went eight quarter. They went eight quarter. Got to be honest. Hey, Murphy's Law. If they miss it by a tick, that's not an entry. Got eight quarter. Didn't go eight half. Otherwise, I'd report it as a re-short back into the bias. We just honest here in the room. We just tell you exactly what's going on. Follow our method, and we're very accurate. The crude oil's insanely accurate. In fact, here's another crude oil trade. Following the four, remember the four things I told you? New buy channel. Cobra crosses the orange, scooping under flattening line. Dynamic trend bands here are matching color as of this candle here or here. Pull back the signal line at 09, and 09 jams up to 20 for 10 ticks. See that? Very mechanical. Crude oil, unlike this highly manipulated U.S. stock indexes, crude oil will get choppy sometimes, but it'll go up and it'll pull back even a little bit, right? It'll chop, it'll go up a little more, and then it'll pull back. But it's goofy NAS, and then it'll go pull back, go down, then it'll go up. That's called a real contract with real traders. But when you start manipulating it like these goofy riggers do, then you got a problem. There's 850. Okay, so re-enter 98.50 back. Again, it's a re-short trend down. Making all my notes here. This is actually an official trade for those of you who are scalping along with my swing trade. And because of the upside rigging, we're getting a lot of these type of setups because they keep propping the market up. It's not swinging, it's not moving like crude oil. Crude oil is my proof, and that's why we love crude oil and trade alongside NAS. When I talk about rigging and all, you go, what? Markets are rigged? Well, hello. But crude oil's the proof. Look, they go up, they go down. They go down, they catch support. It's still trading, it's still difficult, but then when they go down, then they go back up. That's called a real market with buyers and sellers. When a market just goes straight up like we're seeing lately, that's called rigged. Why would it just keep going straight up for 5 days with huge up days and no pullback? It's ridiculous. I mean, if you look at the charts, ultimately they're they're pullbacks, but I'm just
Order
saying in a
pending.
general sense, it's completely artificial. Okay, so are we going to, well, the fact like right now that they're not letting the downside really trend down. We're in a trend down pattern. That's why I'm trading the short back into the pattern. But they may try to once again come in here and throw water on it. That can only be done by rigging. It can't be done. There's no hedge fund big enough to pull that off on the NASDAQ. It can only be done by what I affectionately call the riggers, which is the Federal Reserve. Now, they're not trading the E-mini, but they're manipulating the cash. No hedge fund, no combination of four or five big hedge funds has enough money to manipulate the markets completely, stall the prices, doing what's going on now. Do crony loading operations and then pull the rug out. That can only be done by the big boys, the big guns, the big goons. So, with that in mind, we're still holding short, and that's why it's even a little frustrating. It's not my fault. Write your congressman. Good luck. There's no congressman going to speak up except maybe Rand Paul and his dad to audit the Fed and audit the riggers, and that got done. But most people aren't going to stand up to them. Anyway, that's why it makes trading so difficult because this should be flowing back to the downside, breaking under 94, by now. Still expecting it, but when it starts happening, it'll be in a crash form, and you'll see this market get roasted on the downside, and then our puts will start shining like little objects of gold and silver in our hands. You see it happening now? Okay, so the 98s, we just lost the last low at 93 quarter and put in a new low, slight dip at 93 even. So that last trade back into the bias, if you want to hold, good luck. I think it's a good idea to hold. Okay, you could cover them up here. Let's say right here at 092. Okay, because they went 175. Let's say 92. We're covering up the last 98.50 trade back in the bias at 92. So that's plus 650. You see, I'm creating live trades within the context of our bigger picture short on the swing, looking for a larger scale move. And we're getting closer now. If we can break them under this dotted line, remember that dotted line that I put in a while ago, that thicker dotted line? We're breaking under that. Watching for a move now. Get them cruising down under 890. Lose 90, break them into the 89. That's where we start watching. Now, our target on this is 87. And I'm going to hold to that, although if you want to go for the bigger picture, it's up to you. But I think they will if they're going to crash like I'm expecting, I believe they're going to knock them into the opening range, probably down to 79, at least to the center of the opening range. I want to get out at 87, under 90 and losing 89. If they do that, it looks like they're gonna, and they pile on and they start seeing sellers jumping out because of it's right above the top of the opening range, and that just happens to be right near the bottom of the fourth wave pullback. So on swing trades, I like to get out into the fourth wave. I'm actually taking the lower end, and here's the higher end under 92. So technically, this trade should be taken off between 87 and 92. Right in the center is 89. Let's try to take this thing off, hopefully on a collapse under 90, and then just dipping under 89. This is an older pivot number here, this one here, but let's just try to get them collapsing under 90, dropping under 89, somewhere between 89 and 87. I want to take this one off, even though I believe they're probably going at least to 79, okay? Because we're looking for a bigger, larger scale collapse. So let's watch for them to take out 90 now. Get them down. I'm saying an average, like looking to try to get them. If you want to limit, put a limit in, put it in at 88. Let's see if we can get this thing to lose 90 here and smash them down under this dotted line, which so far is holding up at 89. And then under 89, we're going to try to cover them up under between 87 and 89. Right in the middle of that's 88. So if we can just get rid of 90, get them in the 89 area, and see if they can pile on under that, we're going to cover them up. Yeah, like I said, if you want to use a limit, I really just recommend you take them out on the push of a button. But on a collapse under 89, 88's in the center. Our original target goal, 87, and I think they're going to 79. But that's for you brave souls that want to push for a move. There's 88, covering them up right there. 88 on the limit. Watch for 87. Watch for a move back into the opening range, and I'll monitor this further. But so far, officially, we are out of this trade at 88
Order
based
target
on
filled.
all the narration I've just been doing to cover up this trade here. Great job, you guys. Absolutely fantastic. 22 points on that deal, and we're out along with the other trades we did, namely the 10-point partial. The 10-point partial on the first entry from the short at 7,010 up here. Because it took so long and the riggers are jacking up the prices, look at that. Went exactly to 87.50. We got out exactly where I was, and that was just for me reading into the price action while they took them lower. 10-point partial out at 88 on the big picture 7,010 short up here for plus 22 points. We'll average that out. We took a trade back into the bias at 03, which I stopped them out at 06 for minus 3 points. We traded around the overall core position is what we did. That's what I'm saying here. And we re-shorted a bigger picture move up at 08 when they goosed them all the way back up here. We took a short at 08 for those who wanted to get back into that. It closed them out at the 7,000 handle for plus 8. And then I recommended a re-short at 98 here. And then we closed that one out. I recommended 92 down in this dotted line for a 650 gain. So overall, the trade, we had a 10-point gain, a 22-point gain, a 3-point loss, an 8-point gain, and a 650 gain, all within the context of this. They're now taking out that 87. Watch for them to lose ground under the opening range at 85 even and blow out the opening range. This could be the start of that larger scale crash I'm forecasting. I'm going to scrunch this chart a little bit here so we can take a look at a bigger scale picture. So I'm watching now to see if they lose 85. That's a very key level. For those of you new to the room, seeing some amazing stuff here today. Larger scale level, this is jamming them into the opening range under 85. That's a big deal. The opening range every day is a big deal. If the riggers are going to try to prop up this market, they're going to try to hang the prices up above the opening range. I think with this collapse coming that I'm forecasting, they're going to go into the opening range and ultimately lose it. Here's the center. We always monitor the center. And there's another key green line under there that just happens to fall at the center at 78.50. If you're brave and holding this, looking for a collapse under 85, get out at 78.50 in the center. But if you are trying to hold the futures based on my call for a crash alert, then these are the levels. Bottom of the opening range, that's going to be a big deal. This yellow line, and especially this off-colored line, is a real key number down at 69.53, which they will go there if there's a big crash, but we don't trade out. We don't trade the futures on that large of a move. So great job, you guys. Scored a lot of points on this deal. Great job.